So I recently saw Captain DEI, Brave New Woke, and you're probably wondering, is this movie any good? Is it bad? Or is it just mediocre at best? Well folks, you came to the right video because I'm here to tell you all about it. But before I do all that, go ahead and do your due diligence and like and subscribe to the video right the fuck now. Cause if you don't, you will not receive any of this banger content that I've made for you ungrateful fucks. So do your due diligence and do as I say. Alright, now back to the video. Now, before I get into the good, the bad, and what's in store for the MCU, I need to vent here a little bit about my overall theater experience, or a particular theater chain known as Regal Cinemas, who actually promised people a bundle code for Marvel Rivals if they had purchased a ticket through their Crown Club membership and actually showed the ticket or scanned the ticket when they got to their cinema. Unfortunately, I have yet to receive my bundle code for Marvel Rivals because I'm not paying any real money to actually get the bundle offer that you have, like this, Captain America nameplate or whatever, and then there's a secret skin you're supposed to get. I was mainly looking forward to the secret skin, yet I still haven't gotten my bundle code emailed to me, and I have even contacted your customer support to make sure you actually do your fucking due diligence, Regal Cinemas, and y'all have yet to even do that. So what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, and this is going to kind of go into my theater experience, right? I get there, you know, I'm with my friend, we're just having a good time, and I'm watching all these previews, and then you have like the typical trailers, and then y'all interject like a fucking Allstate commercial, like a TV commercial throughout like all your trailers. Like, don't you show that before you show the actual trailers? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And to make it even matters worse, we get to the ending of the trailers, and we're like, it's like what, maybe 30 seconds before the movie starts, and y'all show me this DEI Regal advertisement that includes a interrace couple, because you know that's normal and that's just the way the world is now. We have to, you know, date and marry people that look nothing alike because progress or some shit like that. No, but other than that, no, y'all show me that ad, and then you finally get to the movie. You have to sit through this bullshit, and you don't even have the you have the audacity to not email me my bundle code for Marvel Rivals. Can y'all get your shit together, okay? I went an hour and a half to my nearest Regal Cinema just to see this movie and to get my bundle code, and you motherfuckers can't even do that properly. Give me my fucking bundle code, or else we're gonna have a problem. Nah, I'm just kidding here, folks, but I am serious about wanting that bundle code, okay? Just please, Regal Cinemas, do your due diligence and give me the fucking bundle code. That's all I'm asking for, okay? I'm a nice guy. Please, I'm not racist or anything like that. But no, but seriously, just give me my bundle code and we won't have a problem. But no, just kind of going back to the theater experience, or like the people in my theater room, there was a group of teens that were sitting in front of me. I think they were all high schoolers. And what I thought was pretty funny was the one of the first trailers that popped up was the Superman trailer by James Gunn, or what I like to call Superman L. And not even like the first 5 to 10 seconds of the trailer, there were like a couple of teens laughing in front of me at the trailer, which I thought was hilarious and based as fuck. And I thought, you know what, maybe there is hope for these future generations, because you know, one thing that gave me hope was they didn't say like what the Sigma throughout the entire movie or anything like that, or like some Gen Z bullshit meme that, you know, we have to deal with, or like some ghetto coded slang. No, they were actually pretty funny, and like they were kind of making jokes throughout the trailers. Like, just realize they knew what was up, okay? Especially with the Superman trailer, to the point where they're just laughing at it. True story, by the way. And then I know I mentioned the Regal ad with the mixed race couple, but funny enough, there was actually a mixed race couple in my theater room. You know, the typical black guy with his fat white girlfriend. Yeah, that type of shit. And something I thought was pretty funny and pretty timely about it was the fact that when I heard the dude speak, I thought he kind of sounded a little bit like Elon Musk, in the sense that he kind of sounded autistic. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but he kind of sounded like similarly like Elon Musk with his, like, you know, autistic mannerisms, or like the way he talked. Because like towards the ending of the movie, when everybody was waiting for the post-credit scene, the way when the guy was like trying to make the jokes or whatever, he tried making a corny joke about how it was setting up Robert Downey Jr. or whatever coming back. He's like, yo, it's setting up for Robert Downey Jr. coming back. Just something corny like that. And then, you know, he then says something like, actually, before we even get to the post-credit scene, he's like, I don't even know what those reviewers are talking about. I thought this was a good movie. I thought that was a good movie. And before I even looked at the guy to see that he was black, I honestly thought it was Elon Musk, and he was just hanging out with his baby mama, Ashley St. Clair. And I just thought they were like trying to make things work out after the recent controversy. But no, that wasn't the case. Okay, it wasn't Ashley St. Clair. It was just some black guy with his fat white girlfriend, just at the cinemas and just having a good time. Okay, I can't fault them for that. Everybody was having a good time, enjoying themselves, and that to me is what it's all about. Okay. despite what I've said or anything like that. I know some of y'all are going to call me racist and shit. Don't care. Go fuck yourself. And I also have black friends, so I can't be racist. And on top of that, I actually saw this with a black friend of mine, a good friend of mine, in fact. And again, can't call me racist, so go fuck yourself if you do. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, guys. All jokes, all jokes. But jokes aside, I actually do want to get into the review of this movie. I'm going to go over the good, the bad, and what's to come for the MCU. Are they cooked? Are they not? You're about to find out here. Now, initially when I heard this movie was announced, I had very low expectations for it. And even when the trailer came out, I had very low expectations. And I think I was right to do so, because once I watched the movie, like actually watched it yesterday or as I'm recording this video, I thought it was just an okay movie. I'd honestly say mediocre at best. I think this film kind of serves like two purposes. One, it's a sort of a pseudo sequel to The Incredible Hulk, because they tie up a lot of loose ends from that movie, or at least like a lot of a particular cliffhanger with a certain character that we're going to get into here in just a sec. But this also served as a scapegoat to basically acknowledge other films such as The Eternals. Basically just acknowledge, yeah, these movies fucking happened. Sorry we didn't acknowledge these films earlier, but we're going to do so now, okay? We're going to do it in a film that no one's going to really care about for years to come. But yeah, that's pretty much what this movie was. And now, I'll be honest, there were some good things about it, and that's what I'm going to go over here. So some of the good things about this movie was, yeah, I think what worked well for this movie was it pretty much tying in with The Incredible Hulk, or tying up a lot of loose ends or plot lines from that movie. And I think what a lot of people are going to talk about is Red Hulk for the most part. Even though he had a short runtime, at least the Red Hulk himself, not necessarily Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford, but I think the connections to the Incredible Hulk, in my opinion, made this film a lot more enjoyable than it actually was. And on top of that, this movie overall, I think it had decent action at best. It tried to copy a little bit of The Winter Soldier in terms of like the overall choreography and just like that intense, fast-paced action. I think they did okay in that department, but at the end of the day, it doesn't hold a candlestick to The Winter Soldier or any other more grounded Marvel movies in general. And yeah, like I said earlier, I really did like the callbacks to The Incredible Hulk, especially at the beginning of the movie where they show footage from The Incredible Hulk. I honestly didn't think they'd do that for the longest time. Like, actually showed that fight with, Hulk against the Abomination in Harlem. I never thought they'd show footage from that movie again, because a lot of the times, the way the MCU treated The Incredible Hulk, they treated that movie like some bastard stepchild. And I honestly think that The Incredible Hulk is probably one of the better MCU films throughout like the 20 plus films they have, because I think that movie kind of had a perfectly grounded take on for a comic book movie. I thought it was perfectly grounded. I actually liked Edward Norton as Hulk. I liked his Hulk in general. He looks menacing as fuck, and he actually looks like a comic book character come to life. I thought that movie was pretty much almost perfect for the most part. I know it's very underrated compared to other Marvel movies, and people like to overlook it because it's kind of weird to acknowledge that there's two different actors that play Bruce Banner within the MCU, and you have like a more superior version such as Edward Norton's Hulk compared to Mark Ruffalo's pussified Hulk. And it's just like, yeah, because nobody can imagine Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, or at least like the modern version of him, or like the more recent version of his Hulk, going up against someone like the Abomination all the way back in 2008. But regardless of that, yeah, I like those callbacks, and I honestly liked Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. And I mean, it would have been great to have, the late William Hurt play him, but of course he passed away a few years ago. But what they brought in this movie with Harrison Ford, I thought they did a pretty good job for the most part, with his certain plot line where he's, kind of at odds with his morals a little bit. He's known as like the hard ass who makes a lot of difficult decisions, and for the most part, not moral decisions. It's just like a lot of, yeah, I did it because it was best for the country that I fight for, that kind of shit. I thought that was pretty cool to like see him try to be a different person altogether, but at the same time, it's like some people don't necessarily change, because you find out later on in the movie, like one of the biggest plot twists, and yes, I'm going to spoil something because I don't really give a shit, and I think most of you that are watching this aren't going to really give a shit because you've either already seen it or you just don't care to see it, and you just want me to spoil it for you, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. But one of the biggest plot twists in the movie is that Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross was working with the main villain of this movie, that being the leader, or aka Samuel Stearns, who's basically working with Samuel Stearns to help develop these pills that pretty much treat Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross's heart problem. that he has throughout the movie, because they kind of hint at it with his heart problems. Like he's holding his chest at times, or holding close to his heart, because he's having problems with that. He's been having problems with that throughout the years, and he goes to Samuel Stern. This is what they say in the movie, that he goes to him and he makes a promise that, like, if he helps, treat his heart illness, that he'll let Samuel Stearns go from this black site, or this military site. And of course, Ross doesn't keep his promise with Samuel Stearns, and Samuel Stearns basically turns against him, making sure that his pills that he was taking, or like the little tablets he was taking, is infused with gamma radiation. And you find out that the gamma radiation was building up in Ross's body throughout the years, and that's how he's able to turn into the Red Hulk. I thought that was pretty interesting. But at the same time, with like Samuel Stern's character, he's basically just the Riddler from the Batman, because he's like the ultimate mastermind who then later turns himself in. And it's just basically a copycat within a copycat. And what I mean by that is the Batman was essentially a copycat of Seven, where you have the main villain turn himself in because it's like for a very elaborate scheme that results in a very climactic ending for the most part. It's not the ending that everybody wishes for, but with this movie, it's kind of a more sauceless take on that dramatic villainous twist with, it's like the villain turns himself in, but it's just for a very elaborate scheme to the point where he wins and the hero loses. But that doesn't happen in this movie, because the leader, for the most part, a lot of his calculated decisions, or like his big brain calculations, don't really come to fruition, and he winds up in prison. But I guess the only way that he wins is the fact that Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, or President Ross in this movie, basically ends up in the Raft prison. I guess that's one way he wins. But other than that, no, the leader pretty much loses everything entirely. His calculations are wrong, and the hero wins. Everybody wins for the most part, except for Ross. But that's pretty much it. That's what I mean by it's a more sauceless take on the way the Batman and Seven play out with like their villains. But honestly, I did like seeing Samuel Stearns again, while not perfect necessarily, and I didn't really care too much for his look. I kind of wish they went with a more comic accurate look, like they showed off in the promotional material for this movie. And I think that's what they were going to go with, or they even had, that's what his actual look was initially when they filmed it, and then they had all these reshoots, of course, where they changed all this shit. But we're going to kind of get into that later. But another good thing, other than like, seeing an Incredible Hulk character, or like a character from that movie, was seeing Betty Ross for like the last 10 minutes of the movie, or at least like 30 seconds within those last 10 minutes. And here's the thing, folks. I know a lot of you simps out there, a lot of you comic book nerds are like, oh, where's my Gwen Stacy? Where's my Mary Jane? No. I never hear anyone say, where's my Betty Ross? Because I'm not going to lie, dude. Liv Tyler, she still has it, okay? She's hot as fuck, even in her, and she's not even that old. She's like 47 years old. But when I saw her, I was like, dude, she still has it. I want my Betty Ross. This bitch is awesome. She's very soft-spoken for the most part, and she's not a complete bitch. And you know what? I kind of want a bitch like this who is like basically a ride or die. If you remember from the Incredible Hulk movie, like, if you saw this bitch, or like, the way she loved Bruce Banner, like, this bitch would have killed for Bruce Banner if she could have. That's how much she loved Bruce Banner. Okay, find you someone like Betty Ross who will just fucking kill for you when necessary. Nah, I'm just joking. But nah, Liv Tyler, she's still bad. Still like her. She looked great in this movie, and it was nice to see her, reunite with her dad in the ending. And to kind of, because that's one of the things that Thaddeus Ross has to deal with, is like his daughter not talking to him for so many years. Even when he was the president, or became the newly elected president within the MCU, she still doesn't talk to him because of the events of the Incredible Hulk, and she just views him as a terrible person. But then, at the ending of this movie, they finally make things up and they get to talk with one another. And I thought that was pretty nice, and I liked, seeing these characters interact when we haven't seen someone like Betty Ross in the MCU for the longest time. She was only in one movie, and then we finally get this resolution with her and her dad. Now, I honestly think it would have been better if she showed up for the final battle with her dad as Red Hulk, and she's the one that calms him down, and not Sam Wilson, who gives this like Kamala Harris speech. But that's neither here nor there, you guys. It's neither here nor there. And to conclude my point on like the good of this movie, I think Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, or President Ross, or at least his Red Hulk, I think was probably the really only good thing about this movie, or like one of the major good things, because that's the one thing I remember from this movie when watching it. I thought Red Hulk was cool with the limited amount of screen time he had. I think he carried this movie, and he especially carried the marketing of this movie, because I think that's the one thing that people were going to talk about the most, was the introduction of Red Hulk. Even though we didn't get to see this Red Hulk fight off against the real Hulk. Not that I really cared about that, because I can't really see Mark Ruffalo's Hulk going up against this Hulk, because the way they've portray Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, and it's supposed to be the same exact character as Edward Norton's Hulk, because they're the same exact character, but played by two different actors. But I just can't see this version of Hulk going up against the Red Hulk. I can't see that. I'd have a hard time seeing that. And I just think it's funny that this movie pretty much operates as a sequel or a pseudo-sequel to The Incredible Hulk, but without The Incredible Hulk. But no, other than that, I think Red Hulk was cool. I hope we get to see more of Red Hulk going down the line with these upcoming MCU films. I feel like we will, because I think that's probably going to be the most positive reception that this movie is going to get, is that, yeah, they liked Red Hulk, but unfortunately we only saw like 5 minutes, maybe like a total of 5 minutes of this character. I hope they do more with him. And yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for the good aspect of this video, or the good portion of what I liked about the movie. And now to get into the bad, here's what I thought was, I guess, bad. At mediocre at best, was the overall story. I don't really think it did that much in the grand scheme of things for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because, you know, they have like this major plot line with Sam Wilson taking on the mantle as Captain America, or just, you know, trying to find himself in the world, or I guess just being Captain America, because everybody tries to refer to him as Cap, and the movie tries really hard to make sure you know that this is the new Captain America. He's gonna lead the next Avengers. And it's like, dude, fuck you. I have a hard time seeing Falcon trying to be Captain America, and I never liked the idea of the Captain America being a mantle. And I know a lot of you comic normies out there, a lot of you fucking normies in general, just like to eat that shit up. You like to eat the word up. Mantle. It's like, this character's a mantle. You don't know fucking shit about anything. It's like, okay, just because it was a mantle in the comics, that doesn't equate to it being a good thing. And I always hated the idea that Falcon becoming Captain America was some sort of upgrade, because it's like you're implying that the Falcon as a character was like completely underdeveloped, or that he needed some promotion as a character, which in my opinion, he didn't. Falcon should have remained Falcon, and honestly with the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, they should have just done this thing where it's like, yeah, they may have played with the idea that he's going to become the next Captain America, but in my opinion, he should have just said fuck it and just be the Falcon. Like, let him be himself. Like, what happened to this theme of like being yourself instead of trying to be someone else, or filling someone else's shoes? Like, what the fuck happened to that? Like, what happened to being yourself? I don't know, but a lot of y'all don't seem to care. And on top of that, there are some little subtle moments in the movie where they try to prop up Sam as Captain America, or try to show him off as like a better version of Captain America, where he's speaking to these world leaders in different languages, or like he's so proficient in speaking languages because the previous Captain America couldn't do that apparently. And this Sam Wilson as Captain America doesn't need super soldier serum to take on a big threat like the Red Hulk, but Steve needed the super soldier serum to take on massive threats. It's like, okay, fuck you. I know what y'all are trying to do here. And they try to make a joke about this where Sam Wilson tries to fight the Red Hulk, and he's like, Bucky was full of shit. I need that serum or whatever. He says something like that. But overall, they're trying to do this thing where it's like Sam Wilson is a superior successor to Steve Rogers as Captain America. It's like, blood, you're not him. You'll never be him. You're just a supporting character at best. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like the Falcon character. I think he's cool. And I think Anthony Mackie does a pretty good job of playing the character of the Falcon. But for like a major movie like this where he's like the solo lead, in my opinion, I don't think Anthony Mackie is really that great of a main lead. I think he works best as a supporting actor at best. He's never really had that charisma for me to where he's like a main lead, and it's super noticeable in this movie. I couldn't help but to notice that. It's like, dude, he's trying too hard to be like the main character, and it's not working that well for him. And I'm not going to necessarily fault him alone for that. I think the story overall is just kind of bland in general. He just doesn't have great material to work with, and I'll be fair in that aspect of things. The overall script for this movie, there's just not a lot to work with. It's very bland, very cringe as well. And speaking of cringe, the dialogue in this movie, dude, holy shit, very cringe at times. And especially when they're like trying to do like this hood slang or whatever, the black slang, it feels so ghetto. It feels out of place. And then there's one scene in the movie which I thought was hilarious. It's where Sam Wilson gets out of the president's office, or the Oval Office, and he talks to that Secret Service agent, or like I call her Agent Boss Bitch, even though she really wasn't that obnoxious. I kind of ignored her throughout the whole movie. But one thing she said in the movie, or like one piece of dialogue she says to Sam Wilson after he meets with the president, she says something like, "Sam, don't be that guy." And the moment she said that, I could not help but chuckle. And I think somebody else in my theater room chuckled as well. And it wasn't even just that character alone. There were some other meh characters in this, like that Israeli Black Widow, or Black Mossad, if you want to call her that, because she's Israeli. they try to make a big deal that she's some Israeli chick who was with the Black Widow program, but it's like nobody actually gives a shit, and she was a total nothing burger in the grand scheme of things. Like there's one major scene where she fights off these guys that are like 3 times her size, and I swear I could have, like, there was one scene where like she picks up this one dude and like throws him over her shoulders, or like she tries to use his momentum against him. And I just thought, like, dude, you're not getting out of that alive. There's no way you're able to like throw a guy like that using his momentum against him. I don't buy it. And that's where you get into like the cringy aspect of this movie. Like some of the choreography in this, while for the most part it's okay at best, it tries way too hard to be like the Winter Soldier, and it just falls flat on its face. Oh, and speaking of Winter Soldier, or you know, the last 2 Captain America movies, why didn't they care to bring back Sharon Carter? Like, what happened to her? They teased something big with her in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then they just never mention her again. Like, what the fuck were they thinking? And like I said before, like this movie kind of served as a scapegoat to tie in loose ends from like other Marvel movies. Marvel movies they forgot to acknowledge. They could have done something with Sharon Carter. Like this would have been the perfect opportunity to do something with her, and they just didn't. We just get some bland ass characters that nobody asked for, instead of just tying up something that was actually kind of interesting in my opinion. I think they were trying to do something interesting with Sharon Carter, tease her bad side, or tease the fact that like she was always bad. But no, we don't get that. We just get some bland ass characters that nobody gives a fuck about. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But before I finally conclude my thoughts on the bad aspects of this movie, something I noticed, or I think almost everybody noticed, was the noticeable reshoots in this movie, or at least towards the 3rd act, because you kind of notice like the horrible green screen here and there. Like, I think the final battle with the Red Hulk was okay for the most part. I didn't notice anything too obvious until you get to like one part where you see like the background shot of Sam Wilson. Like, because I was so focused on the green screen, or like the terrible chroma keying of everything. And I think I missed one part where like you see for a second Sam Wilson, you see like his bald head. He doesn't like have any hair for some reason. I think that's real. I saw somebody point this out on Twitter, and I was like, did I seriously miss that? Because like I was so distracted with the shitty green screen background. Like I was too distracted with that to miss his bald head. I don't know, but that part of it was just very noticeable. Like who is the fuck is working on the green screens? Like who the fuck is working on the post-production process of this? Like, is it other DEI hires? Are we hiring too many minorities to work on these films? Are we hiring too many women that just don't know what the fuck they're doing? I'm genuinely curious, and I'm curious if anybody has any insight on that. I'd like to know in the comments below. And lastly, as I mentioned before, with this movie, like I enjoyed it for the most part. I had very low expectations for it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But the problem is that it didn't really feel like a Captain America movie. Like I had a hard time seeing Sam Wilson as Captain America. It was just like they were trying way too hard to make this work, and it just didn't. I'm sorry, you can, get mad at me, call me racist, saying, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sam Wilson taking on the mantle as Captain America happened in the comics, so go fuck yourself. But it's like, no, I'm sorry. It's just like, it's clearly lacking something, that being Steve Rogers as Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. I don't give a fuck what you have to say for yourself. He is that guy, and that's how the other films work, because he was Captain America. And when you try to replace him with somebody who just doesn't have the same type of charisma as the original, it just, to me, that's where things fall apart, and you forget like what you're watching, because they're trying to be something that it's not. And that's pretty much going to do it for the bad aspect of this video. Overall, I thought the movie was mediocre at best. There were some good moments here and there, and I think having the Incredible Hulk connections really made this movie more enjoyable than it actually was. To essentially wrap things up, or to close this video, is the MCU cooked from this point on? Is this movie going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths? My personal opinion, no, not necessarily. I think they have some stuff to work with. I think they have some good content along the way. Now, fake bolts or thunderbolts, if you want to call it that, I think it'll be okay at best. It may just be like another total nothing burger like this movie, but I think their biggest heavy hitter this year is probably going to be the Fantastic Four: First Steps. I think that's going to be their heavy hitter. I think that's going to be the one movie that they're going to talk about the most. And of course, leading into next year, we're going to have Avengers Doomsday, which is teased at the ending of this new Captain America movie, or Captain DEI, because the leader is the one who teases, the multiversal threat for what's to come, because he's testing, Sam Wilson, hey, you think you're the only planet you're going to have to fight for? Try fighting for other worlds or other planets, or basically other multiverses. That's pretty much what he hints at with his like massive calculations, or his big brain calculations. speculations. But yeah, I think there'll be something interesting there. I think Fantastic Four for sure is going to have to carry this year. I don't really think they're going to have that much hope for Thunderbolts. I'm sure people will enjoy that movie, but at the same time, I think they're really trying to make a bang with their buck on the Fantastic Four, because we haven't seen these characters in a long time. It's been like, what, 10 years since we've seen the Fantastic Four, at least on the big screen. So I think that that'll be probably the most controversial Marvel movie of this year. And then, of course, leading into next year, we're going to get Avengers Doomsday. And that for sure will get people talking, because you have someone like Robert Downey Jr. who is making his big debut as Doctor Doom. That for sure will get people talking. Now, whether you think it's a cheap gimmick or not to bring somebody back, or just for the sake of nostalgia bait because everybody liked Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, yeah, I mean, there's something to that, but at the same time, it's going to get people talking, and I think there's going to be enough going on for Avengers Doomsday, especially considering Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. I think there's going to be a lot of, controversy as to whether he's a good Doctor Doom or not, whether this, casting decision was necessary. I think that much will be said. I think that much will be talked about. But other than that, you guys, I'm going to leave it to you now. What are your hopes and expectations for Marvel's future going forward? Do you have any hopes and expectations? Do you even care? And on top of that, what did you guys think of my review for Captain DEI Brave New Woke? Even though it really wasn't that woke or anything like that, it's just kind of mediocre at best. What did you guys think of my review? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Either way, let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't checked out my other videos, go ahead and do so right at this moment. And if you liked what you saw here, give it a like and go ahead and subscribe, and just, do all that good shit, and just keep subscribing for more banger content. Keep liking this banger content, because I want to keep making this for you guys. I enjoy doing this. So yeah, I'll leave it to you. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and bye for now.